Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Pop Collaborate and Listen. My name's Dave Fensom. This week we do something slightly different. We break our own rules. This week we're going to be talking about Depeche Mode's album Violator. Now, the sharp-eyed amongst you will realise that this album didn't actually make the number one spot. It came out in the same week as ChangesBowie, in the same week that ChangesBowie was in the number one spot, so didn't quite make number one. Now, we're not going to make a habit of doing things like this, but every now and again when an album of note comes out, we might just break our own rules simply because we want to, really. We thought it was worth talking about. We thought we had something to say about it, so here we go. If you don't like it, let us know. As always, you can get in touch with us on pclmusicpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at PCLPodcast. You can follow us on Twitter at PCLPodcast. You can find us on Facebook. Just search for Pop Collaborate and Listen. You will find us there. We're putting out a little bit of content on there. We've had some nice feedback on that so far. So, yeah, please follow us on your social medias and also subscribe if you can. We're getting bigger numbers than we expected to. So some people appear to be listening to it. We've had some great feedback as well. Also, we need to apologise. Last week in the Sinead O'Connor episode, we confused the Notting Hillbillies with the Travelling Wilburys, which is a heinous crime, as is the music of both the Notting Hillbillies and the Travelling Wilburys. But yeah, thanks to Jake for pointing that out to us. Shout out to Jake. What's going on in my life? I'm absolutely knackered. I got back from Atlanta, as we discussed last week, then I went straight off to Budapest for the wedding of my good friends Hayley and Paul, so I've been doing a lot of jet setting this year. It's not what I normally do, but yeah, my timelines are all screwed up. I have no idea who I am anymore. I think I might be Krista, but I know I'm not because I can pronounce the word hours properly. Anyway, this podcast is brought to you, as always, by On The Edge Comedy, which is Brighton's best new act and new material night. It takes place on the first and third Fridays of every month. This Friday coming up, which is the 1st of March, we have the wonderful Esther Manito headlining. If you haven't seen Esther before, go and see her before she's too big to get tickets for. She is absolutely fantastic. Anyway, that is it from me. Please enjoy the podcast. Let us know any feedback that you've got, and I'll speak to you next week. Hello and welcome to the Pop Collaborate and Listen podcast, where we listen to every single number one UK album of the 1990s in order and tell you what we think about them. Why are we doing this? We've just got nothing better to do, to be honest with you. We've failed at life. My name is Dave Fensom.
I'm Krista Greer.
Here we are, week 4. We are deep into 1990 at this point.
We're relatively deep. We're still at the end of March. We did Sinead O'Connor last week, and she was in sort of like the middle to end. This is the last week of March, 25th to the 31st of March 1990.
Okay, and what is the number one album this week, Krista?
The number one album is David Bowie's ChangesBowie.
So if you're listening to this for the first time, or you've just forgotten the rules that we set out in the first episode, because this is a compilation of best of greatest hits, it's not a record we're going to talk about in the same level of details. The point of this podcast is to review the records that came out in the 90s. Obviously, this is a compilation, so it kind of doesn't quite fit in with our criteria. But what we will do is we'll have a brief discussion about this record and about David Bowie in general, and then we'll have a look at what else is going on in the charts, and we'll pick something else, and we'll do a more in-depth conversation with something else. Sound all right?
Exactly. Yeah, this is going to be more of a conversation, I think, about us and our relationship with Bowie, where we came into Bowie, and what our thoughts are. Maybe, starting from where we were in 1990, if we were aware, and in general how Bowie is a thing for us.
Okay, fair enough then. So this is this compilation, 1990, 18-track compilation.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. It goes right from obviously the first single, Space Oddity, through it's the real big hits that everyone knows. Yeah. Literally, if you were on a classic rock station or a 70s or 80s radio show, these are the ones that are getting played because they're the massive big ones.
I mean, it is very much a dead-on greatest hits.
Yeah.
So, 1990, were you listening to David Bowie?
Not at all. No, I not because I didn't want to at all. It was because I had really no idea how big a deal he was. I remember that my first Bowie recollection would be Ashes to Ashes. I remember seeing that on top of the pops. So that's what, 1980? Yeah. And I remember enjoying that for what it was. I had no idea of the back catalogue at that point or how much of an influence on other people he was.
Now, I did have a David Bowie single at this point. I had a 7-inch. Probably I think we can all agree, probably the best Bowie work, because I had a 7-inch of Dancing in the Street with his famous duet with Mick Jagger.
Amazing.
Yeah, how embarrassing is that? That was my Bowie experience.
Fuck's sake. Right.
Yeah, so I knew Bowie from this. I knew him from Labyrinth, which I loved. And I knew some of the. I kind of knew.
Dance,
I was always interested in film and stuff, so I was always. I kind of was aware of the imagery around Absolute Beginners, but I hadn't pegged this as something that was someone that I was, super into.
Sure.
I think I'd seen the BBC miniseries The Buddha of Suburbia. I think that was by then.
Okay.
And I think I was of that kind of thing. Was all a bit weird. Do you know what I mean? I was a bit all. It was all a bit much for me. I think at age 15.
Right. Sure. Oh well. Yeah. Otherwise, he was in Cat People by that point. I think that would have been 80s. He was definitely here and there. I had no idea, but I knew the single of Absolute Beginners. Again, seeing that on top of the pops, I'd even thought about watching the actual film because I was 12 at the time. It wasn't for me.
So let's fast forward to what's your relationship with Bowie now?
I would say that I understand how important he is. I absolutely do. I understand how important he is in terms of music and pop music and pushing things forward. I really do. I don't own any actual Bowie albums. I've heard a couple for sure all the way through, but he's not someone who is one of these big heroes for me in the way that he is to some people.
Sure. Now for me, at some point in the mid-90s, someone gave me a compilation which had Rebel on it, which I just loved and
I
hadn't heard and I loved. And I've been back through this, but it wasn't until I kind of met my wife, and Jenny was a big Bowie fan straight off.
Right.
That I started hearing more of the records, and I've been picking up the vinyl reissues as they've been coming out.
Oh, are you?
I haven't been a completist.
Okay, but you have been.
Yeah. So basically, I just pick up an album and try and take in much as we're doing here, just trying to take in the albums and.
Right. Okay.
I really love Aladdin Sane. Really love Low.
I know that's a big one for a lot of people.
Yeah. I think in general I'm more of an albums man than you anyway.
Oh, we've definitely talked about this before. I am much more of a best ofs or singles compilation thing. I love the hits.
I'd have to say the best of the Beatles.
Exactly. I do part with it sometimes, but there's obviously a lot of stuff to be said for Bowie's albums. I suspect I wouldn't go and put on a full album given the choice. I would dip in and out.
See, for me, totally the opposite. Yeah. I wouldn't dream of putting this compilation on.
Right.
I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what's going on in that era. What's he doing? And I want to hear all the
track 1 to the end.
Yeah, exactly that.
Right. This is what this little snapshot of his career.
Sure, and that's not to say that I haven't got Bowie songs on playlists. Of course I have.
Right.
But I wouldn't. I'm not really a greatest hits kind of dude. I still have a lot of love for the album format.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I've still got a lot of love for it. So for me, I think it would be a perfectly good compilation to give to someone that had never listened to Bowie.
Yeah, sure.
It'd be a great primer to go, okay, this is what you're into, and now go on your journey.
Yeah, okay.
Got favourite Bowie song?
Heroes would be mine.
Nice. Love Heroes.
Love Heroes.
I wish I could swim like dolphins can swim. Though nothing will keep us together. We can beat them forever and ever.
I mean, from this record, I would say, I you know, Your First Love Is Always Your Best. I still think like Rebel Rebel is pretty much a perfect song.
I think if we had to pick the worst song on this compilation,
Yeah.
it's the terrible remix they've done of Fame to do something a little different, to put a new song on here.
Do you know what? I listened. I did listen to this in a whole, but I had it on in the background.
Yeah.
All the songs are quite familiar to me, and to be honest with you, I don't think I picked up on it.
Well, it was remixed just for this album.
Yeah.
For no good reason I can tell, except that they wanted to do something different.
Right.
Basically, they've kind of screwed with a classic
Yeah.
for no reason, and in subsequent releases of this album,
Yeah.
they just put the original album version back on. Where's this horn coming from? Right.
Did you just say that the 90s mix had a fucking horn on it?
Yeah. Here we go. It'll come in a minute. A horn stab.
I'll just leave it alone, boys.
Exactly.
This is like when George Lucas fucking, you know what I mean, went back and fucked with Star Wars.
Yeah. Anyway, that's not that.
And
so no to that.
And we should. I mean, we normally mention album covers first. We haven't done that now, but Jesus Christ, this is terrible, isn't it?
Oh, it's the worst we've seen so far.
Yeah,
You know, it's worse than the Christians.
There are teenage collages across the world that were done with far more aplomb than this was. Someone got paid for this.
I can only imagine that they just ran out of time and gave it to an intern. It's really, I mean, if you haven't seen it, go and look at it, because, like Dave says, it's just a shit collage of Bowie.
I mean, the thing is as well, for someone that was always so image conscious, so much into you've got to presume this was something that was. I mean, I don't know. Was this put out by the record company as a contractual obligation?
I'm not sure on that. But yeah, you can only assume that he had very little input into the final product.
I mean, to be fair though, this is the era. This is the era he put a drum and bass album out, so perhaps he just fucking lost his mind briefly.
Yeah, true enough. I saw it was a quote, I think, just from the Wikipedia stuff. It said the cover artwork was generally dismissed as amateurish, a sixth form cut and paste collage.
Oh mate, it's not even a sixth form.
Did find out though that this collection gave Bowie his first UK chart topping album since in 1984. He'd not had a number one album since then.
Yeah, I mean,
this is cheating because it's a best of.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't actually count. But
when did Let's Dance come out?
That would have been 85, I think.
Oh, okay. I mean, that song didn't really. That's a weird song, isn't it? Because I don't think it got the love at the time as much as it's become like a whole generation's favourite Bowie song.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of these things. I think at the time it was kind of critically dismissed because it was a bit too poppy, and he was wearing some ridiculous big outfit in the video, and he didn't look as cool as he used to.
Right.
But like you say, the time has proved it to be one of sort of not necessarily a fan favourite, but a populist favourite. It's the one that everyone will dance to.
Yeah, absolutely. Bizarrely.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Co-written by your man from Chic.
Oh, Nile Rodgers.
Nile Rodgers, thank you.
Oh, I did know that, actually. Yeah, now you said it.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a co-producer, I think, on that album and wrote that with Bowie.
That dude has co-produced some great songs, man.
Yeah, exactly. If you looked at his
terrible
career.
shit as well, but let's not dwell there.
Yeah. But it's one of these things, like you said, it's cheating that it's a number one, but it got him back, I guess, into people's heads. And
Sure.
I bet you it made him a shit ton of money.
Anyway, so let's close the door on ChangesBowie.
Yes. Yeah.
What's new in the charts, the album's charts this week?
Let's have a look. Okay, so if you did hear last week's podcast when we were doing Sinead O'Connor, we are only 1 week on from that in time here.
Yeah, because Bowie was number 2 last week.
Exactly. Bowie went in at number 2 while Sinead was 1. He's now gone up to number 1. And so it does mean that there's not a lot of new stuff in the album top 10.
Okay.
We've still got Tina Turner for an Affair.
Yeah.
Whatever. The B-52s have got a reissue, or a re-entry rather, for Cosmic Thing because of the success of Love Shack. Then we're going back through old ones. Chris Rea, Road to Hell, Essential Pavarotti, Phil Collins, but seriously, still in at number 5. Carpenter's Greatest Hits is one that we will be talking about another time because it's going to move up.
One of my mum's favourites.
This is one of these things, they're cheesy as shit. But fuck me, they got some tunes.
There you go.
We'll get there. And then we've got Vivaldi, the Four Seasons, and Nigel Kennedy version. Sinead O'Connor, I do not want what I haven't got, has gone down to number 3 from number 1 last week. And we have a new entry at number 2, which is Depeche Mode's Violator.
Oh shit!
Straight in at number 2.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no doubt what we're talking about then this week, is there?
That's got to be it. I mean, that's the biggest thing, really, this week.
Sure. Now, obviously, if you want to hear what we think about any of the other records, go back to last week's podcast. Yeah. You can hear it all on the Sinead O'Connor podcast there. But yeah, okay. So this is Depeche Mode's 7th studio album?
Yeah. And I think, realistically, the first of their albums that I really knew about.
Yeah, I think the first... I had basically Depeche Mode, My Next Door Neighbour, when I was, when I was 15, James, he really got into 101, the live record.
Oh, that's true, actually. Yeah, I did have that. That was amazing.
And so I got into, kind of the back catalogue through that. And then when this record came out, he bought this straight away, and I heard it from there. So I've known this album since it came out, and full disclosure, I love this album.
Yeah.
This is probably, if I made a top 20 albums of all times, I would imagine it would be in there.
Really? Wow, that's high praise.
I love this record. So I mean,
did you love it straight away? Like when you heard it from this guy?
I liked it straight away, but the thing with this record, and we'll get onto it, is it's got a couple of big hooks that will draw you the fuck in.
Right, sure.
Yeah, this is an album with a lot of different weapons on it, and this is an album as well that, as I've progressed through having different qualities of like ability to listen to records, so having better stereos in my car, up to having really good headphones, this is a record that every time, that through these different periods, it's always got more to give.
Oh, really? Okay.
This is a I mean, we'll talk about this a lot, but so this went straight into number 2.
Yeah, absolutely, straight into number 2, and obviously because we're talking about it now as opposed to when it was number 1, it never got to number 1 in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was kept off.
Okay, and it didn't do it went number 7 in the States. Is that right?
Yeah, but I think it was the first of their albums. I'm just reading my note here. First of their albums to chart inside the top 10 of the Billboard 200.
Okay, yeah.
Their other ones obviously had been cult popular, I'm guessing, over there.
Yeah.
Building up to the 101 release, because that was their US tour. But no, they had never had a top 10 album until this point.
I mean, this album sold a couple of copies.
Didn't it, though? Jesus Christ.
What's the number?
Oh, I've not got it in front of me.
I think it's 3 million.
Jeez, really?
Yeah, this is a multi-platinum album in America. This is the album that really massively broke. I mean, I love the fact that 4 goths from Basildon.
Yeah, man.
I mean, they are the most unlikely stadium headliners in the world.
Yeah.
And I would say as well, I mean, I don't know, I was thinking about this. Whether or not you think Depeche Mode are cool, I guess is a subjective question, but I think they are probably one of the coolest bands that are able to headline stadiums and arenas.
All right. Okay.
Who's cooler? It's not fucking U2.
Well, no, absolutely not. At that level, yeah, because I suppose if you're looking at that level, you're looking at people like Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Iron Maiden. Those are all rock ones. Coldplay.
Yeah, Coldplay. Sure. Obviously, you've got
Sheeran.
Yeah, you've got your pop stars as well. And Foo Fighters. You've got. I mean, I guess Queens of the Stone Age, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. True.
You know, Queens of the Stone Age have still got a mystique about them, but I suppose they are a kind of arena tour status now, aren't they?
They are. I mean, we saw Queens of the Stone Age at Hyde Park.
Yeah.
Depeche Mode are too big for Hyde Park, aren't they? They wouldn't do that. They would do.
Well, I mean, last time I saw Depeche Mode live for the first time proper last year, and I saw that was a completely sold out O2.
O2, right? Did they only do one date?
Ooh,
because I bet you they
I
would.
can't remember if they did one or two dates, but
right.
I mean, it was
instantly sold out.
Oh yeah, it was incredibly instantly sold out. Yeah, it was.
No, well, then that's fair enough. That's a good question. And respected, respected amongst their peers as well, and influential for what are we talking 30 years now, 35 years. Yeah, that's true. They're still one of the big ones.
So, what I think is really interesting about this is this is their 7th album. 7 records in, and the other records have been, you've got some big singles and some big songs on the earlier stuff.
Yeah.
But to blow up as big as they did on a 7th record, that's unusual, isn't it?
It is. That is a long journey. Yeah. So that's not the usual path. I mean, obviously, in the 80s it was a bit more like that.
Sure.
People didn't do the same thing as they do now, where there's hype, first album sells loads and then nothing ever again. There was definitely more of a building structure for bands back then, but 7 albums is pushing it, really. Okay, so
let's start as we do. Let's have a look at the album cover.
Yep.
What do we got here? What are you seeing?
The album cover is a red flower on a black background. Red flower, that's how it's pronounced, on a black background. It's very stylized.
Yeah.
And even though at the time I probably wouldn't have been aware of goth, really, it has that little.
Oh, sure. It's got that. I mean, it's an Anton Corbijn image.
Yeah.
So Anton Corbijn, obviously, video artist, worked with Madonna amongst other people, worked with all kinds of people. I think it's a really kind of striking image. It fits the album very well. You kind of got that jet black image. All you got on there is the kind of the reds, the greys, the blacks.
It works brilliantly.
It's a good album. It's a good image. I like it very much.
And as well, I don't know whether maybe it is because it's the red of it, but there's either a menace or there's a dark personality to it.
Okay, and that is, that's very much Depeche Mode all over, though, really, isn't it?
And maybe also as well because the name of the album is Violator.
I mean, that's it's named like a dildo, so it's Funnily enough, I mean, you can never know like misinformation and things along those lines, but I mean, I think we read one interview with Martin Gore where he said the album title itself was actually kind of a bit of a joke. They just we wanted to come out with the most ridiculous heavy metal kind of record title that we can, but strangely, with their whole kind of goth, dirgy kind of sex vibe. And it's interesting actually, because we go back to what I just said about ChangesBowie, and there was a kind of sexuality around that I think I found a bit intimidating at the time.
Okay.
But I think maybe I didn't tune into some of that aspect of this at the time.
Sure. Well, I definitely didn't. The first singles off this I took on total face value. Yeah. Didn't read anything else into it.
But yeah, I mean, this guy likes to talk about fucking.
Doesn't he though? Jesus Christ.
Doesn't he though? Yeah, he really does. So yeah, okay. So on the album title, album cover, I put a copy of that on my wall.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's proper artwork. And again,
it's proper artwork. It's not one of your shapes.
And just going off, it's not the Phil Collins one. It's not the fucking Christians cover, and it's not the Sinead one, which was basically the Phil Collins one.
This is an album cover. This is someone that gives a fuck for their album.
Well, they've got an idea. They've got a style they want to project, and so they've actually worked towards that.
Yeah. So right, okay. Shall we?
Let's crack into it. Track number 1 is World in My Eyes.
And not World in Motion, as I've written down on my on my notes.
Indeed.
Apparently, that's a very different song.
So yeah, World in My Eyes. Here we go. So far, so Depeche Mode.
I mean, it's just such a nice. It's like it's a simple little hook, and it's that drum sound.
Yeah, I mean that is almost a little bit Casio on that. It's not a big booming drum. It's that
it is, but you can
808.
But everything you hear, you go, all of these sounds have been tweaked and edited.
Yes,
that's like every single one of these. Everything in this record is about the sound. And it's about the depth of sound. And you know, a lot of this was a lot more simple than. Less busy than some of the older stuff.
Sure, yeah, that's true. Stripped down a bit.
Yeah, a little bit looser in terms of how it's so strange that the as they did that, it gave it just a little bit more, I don't know, like kind of organic feel, I suppose.
Maybe so. I mean, I don't know. In reading the background of this, there was one of the producers they had was Francois Kevorkian. He did a lot of stuff. Who did a lot of his own stuff in the 90s as well for dance music. But I suspect he's got that more kind of Kraftwerk-esque clinical. He was doing a lot more of the producing on the computers rather than the tapes and the rock thing that they'd been doing in the last couple of albums.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, I mean, I read a little bit. They changed their writing process for this record. Because previously, how they did, obviously, Martin Gore at this point is the main songwriter.
Yeah.
I don't think David Garn started writing songs for them until a little bit later.
Right.
So I don't think he started writing songs with them until the early 2000s.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I think Martin Gore was doing all of it. But I read, and what they would do is they would get together, kind of in pre-production, like decide upon the sound of the record kind of collectively, and then they'd go into like a sequencing studio for weeks and put that stuff all together. But this time around they went in with far looser demos and had a lot more space creatively for the other members of the band within the structures of the songs.
So Martin Gore was going in with the bare bones more than a finished product.
I mean, I think bare bones is probably overstripped.
I
mean, have you ever seen this guy's synthesizer collection?
I have not.
Oh yeah, I mean, Google it at some point. It's just this insane room of just modules and keyboards.
Fair enough.
This guy knows what he's talking about in terms of synthesizer sounds.
Oh god, yeah. Well, they invented so much of that sound in the 80s.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
absolute pioneers of it. And so let's so straight away it's layers and layers of different sound. It builds through. And then you've got Dave Garn's voice coming. It's a very distinctive voice.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it's very distinctive, and if you're listening to this album or the last couple, very distinctive. It's absolutely, I think, not Just Can't Get Enough from 1981. He's much more of the rock star by this point.
He's broody.
Yeah.
But I think the funny thing though, have you seen Depeche Mode live?
Never have, no.
Okay.
No.
Have you seen footage of them live?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I say, I would probably put 101 as my favourite live album.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's incredible.
That's massive.
I think it's incredible.
I think you're absolutely correct. It is. It's wonderful. But for all his darkness and his brooding and his kind of you kind of imagine him kind of sitting on his little goth throne.
Yeah.
But he is as flamboyant and camp as you like. Right. He is all hand gestures. He is the fairy Oberon from. Do you know what I mean? He is all like. But I mean, he's a fantastic showman. But it's like, wow, this is not quite what I was expecting in a really good way. He's like, I mean, dude knows how to front a band.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
I remember I was watching the video for World of My Eyes, and there's a lot of live footage from the Violation tour, the World Violation tour, and he's there in some tight white jeans and a big leather jacket running around the stage. Yeah. And he's looking like he's loving every fucking second. Mm-hmm. And again, you remember from 101, in between all the songs, when it was these big industrial strength songs, bang, 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 and then in between each one, she's got this Basilton bloke going, yeah, all right, yeah. It's like, okay, Dave, calm yourself, man.
Sounded like in Iron Man 3, the Ben Kingsley character,
the Mandarin.
Yeah. So okay. So
I'll tell you another thing I like about this song, because this song is utter filth.
Oh my god, isn't it?
This is the first song on the album, and already this is just filth.
Yeah.
I love the bit after the first couple of lines. It's not exactly the same, but the sound that a ruler makes when you snap it off a table.
Yeah.
There's a bit that reminds me of that. It was that that got me.
All right, cool. I absolutely love this. It is. I mean, it's someone going, surrender to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the fucking of your life. I am gonna do some stuff to you. I'm pretty good at this. I'm going to take you up a mountain. I'm going to drop you to the bottom of the sea. You look at the world in my eyes.
Yeah.
And it's that whole thing of like looking someone face to face, and he is. Yeah, he's fairly confident of his ability.
He is, and I imagine he's had some practice.
Yeah, I'd imagine he has. But yeah, it's a super pervy song, incredibly atmospheric.
Yeah.
It gives you that kind of you straight away you're in a different world. You're in it's a slightly kind of dangerous world that happens after dark and the freaks come out.
Yes, and the word used, surrender, is exactly what they're talking about. It's giving yourself over to pleasure. It's letting whatever's going to happen. Trust me, but don't try and stop this.
And there is a lot of that on this record.
Yeah, there really is.
This is a theme we'll come back to again and again. And I guess we'll come back to it. But yeah, in terms of we talked a lot about album openers. I think this is a great album opener.
I do. I mean, it is a great one because it's a terrific song. It's a brilliant song. It's not the big. I mean, if they put Personal Jesus as the first one, then you have that huge riff coming in, and you're already off. You bang, 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 gone.
But where do you go next?
Well, true. But they've done, I think, probably the right thing in sliding in, so to speak. Yeah. Andy Fletcher apparently calls this his favourite Depeche Mode song.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. He said that if he has to pin it down, it's this one.
Okay. This was. I mean, how many singles did we have off this record?
4, I think it is.
I think this was 4. One of them, wasn't it?
It was. This was the last one.
Yeah.
This was September 1990. They released this as a single.
Okay.
Which is why they were able to use on the footage.
So it's a year on. Yeah. Strangely enough, that's what Phil did, didn't it? He had the last single off his record was the first.
That's true. Actually,
first track. So maybe that's
Yeah, I suppose true enough. That's always a strange one. I don't know, because usually I would always think that the first song on an album probably should be able to be a single, because it needs to be strong. It needs to be something that is recognisably a big tune. But yeah, it obviously is. Cool. I love. There's a line that I saw Billboard whenever this was released described this as Gan playing horn dog travel agent, inviting a lover to follow him somewhere where pleasure reigns supreme and everything else ceases to exist.
Fair enough.
Horn dog travel agent.
I mean, I think just they use horn dog anyway. I'm in favour of that.
Maybe that should have been the title of this album.
Yeah,
horn dog.
Horn dog millionaire. Which is a pretty good description of David Garn.
There's also a great bit in the video where it's intercut with a big cinema screen showing live footage, but it's Dave Gann and a woman in a car watching it at a drive-through cinema.
Right.
And both of them, it's night time, and they've both got sunglasses on.
Yeah.
And he just occasionally looks at her and sings these lyrics to her.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, that's the worst first date I ever saw. This terrified woman.
Yeah, but Bono watched it and went, I know what I'm doing. That's basically the whole Zoo TV thing. Anyway, right.
True.
So,
brilliant opener.
Brilliant opener. Track 2.
Track 2, Sweetest Perfection.
Okay.
Right. And this one, I have heard this album, definitely. I never owned it. I think I had a tape copy for a while when I was at school. Never owned it, but it's been on parties and stuff, and people are playing it all the time. So I knew it.
What kind of parties were you going to?
You want to know? Yeah. This one, Sweetest Perfection, because it's not an album track. I was coming in going, I do remember this, but not well.
Yeah.
So it was lovely to come back to this. So anyway, so here's how it starts. Sweetest Perfection.
The sweetest perfection to call my own. The slightest correction.
There's something just off on that vocal. It's weird.
Yeah.
The vocal's been treated in some way, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Like the way it sits with that kind of synth line. I find that really quite disquieting. It makes me feel uneasy.
Yeah, definitely. It's like someone in a horror film.
Yes, very much. I wrote a horror film down as well. It goes kind of like almost like kind of theremin-like kind of thing there, isn't it?
Yeah. Was that? Yeah, definitely. There's a menace in there. There's a spookiness.
Yeah, menace is an incredibly good word for
it.
So yeah, I don't know whether this is lyrically a song with using drugs as a metaphor for sex, or whether it's just drugs as a metaphor for drugs.
It's absolutely either way, because I suspect that they want you to think it's about drugs, but they're actually talking about fucking as well.
Quite possibly, or or vice versa, or both. It's one of those things. It's like I'll be honest with you. I've got a real weak spot for a kind of sad, junky ballad.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, I'm an Alice in Chains fan.
Right, sure, yes.
And I again, this is really kind of brooding, really kind of menacing, as you said. Kind of creates this. I don't know. All of it paints a picture. All of it paints a picture, and it's a real removal from whatever world it is you generally know.
Yeah, I mean, especially to someone hearing this as a 15-year-old in 1990, you must have been going, I have not a clue what world this man's moving in.
I've subsequently been to quite a lot of goth clubs, and I'm still none the wiser, right? Still none the wiser, because I tell you, this is not what I've experienced in a regional goth club,
Yeah.
I'm not hearing anyone here with a significant weight problem one way or the other wearing a fishnet top. I'm not, right? Male or female. And that is my general experience of goth clubs.
Yeah, that's fair, actually, yeah.
A lot of patchouli oil.
Lots.
So,
the lyrics, like with the words he's using about injection and infection, this sort of thing, it really is. It's painting the picture. And looking back, obviously, knowing that Gans had this history of drug abuse and drug problems, and again, is Martin Gore trying to push Dave Gahan to be singing about this for his own agenda?
Well, I mean,
who knows? But you have to think, all right, this is a big drug song for Dave.
The thing is, I think because Dave Gahan went so far for us, he gets a lot of. But look, the rest of Depeche Mode were not fucking angels.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah.
They were all absolute cans. If you look at early pictures of Martin Gore, he's fully in his bondage gear. This is whichever, whether this is metaphorical or whether this is on the nose, it's certainly a song about the nihilism of surrender again to pleasure, and this is one that maybe reflects a little bit more on consequences.
Sure, yeah, but it's a love song, either a love song to drugs or a love song to sex, because it's not saying these things are awful and I hate them.
Yeah,
it's the sweetest perfection, and this is what I do to get me off.
Exactly. Have you? There's a really, really lovely string arrangement that comes through in this.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of stood out to me, the string bit.
But I did in a good way or a bad way?
First hearing of it the other day when I was doing this, I thought it didn't fit. I'll come back to it again.
What about that guitar built into it?
Yeah.
It was because the change is slightly abrupt.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean by that, but I think that as soon as that vocal comes back in over it, you're straight back into the song again.
Oh yeah, and then the two merge. Yeah, and the strings become part of it.
I quite like that.
Yeah,
little kind of
boof.
Yeah,
right. I'll tell you what it made me think of. Look, the whole track made me think of it, but the string bit especially, with the vocal being that kind of little horror movie-esque, was Phantom of the Opera.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, it got that the whole feel of it sounded like a man in a mask talking about what he's really into.
Yeah. But I really like that, and it's got this kind of really sci-fi-esque kind of outro. I put sci-fi, maybe horror is a better word, but I don't know. Let's have a
listen to that.
I really like the way this song kind of ends as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of puts me in a
it sounds
exactly War of the Worlds-y.
Yeah.
Here we go. There you go.
Yeah, good enough.
But yeah, really, again, really like that one. How do you feel about it?
Oh, it's fantastic. The whole thing, the feel of it, the lyrics, the imagery, brilliantly done. Really is, yeah. Yeah, really impressed.
Okay, so two good ones so far. So presumably by the time we get to track 3, it's got to be a bit of a drop off.
Yeah, of course. They can't keep this shit up, can they?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. Yeah. Personal Jesus.
Reach out, touch faith.
Bam. The first time I heard this,
Yeah.
I thought this is fucking brilliant.
And that's exactly it.
Just straight away, the killer riff.
Yeah. And this is I talk a lot about the fact that there's a couple of records that really got me into rock music and hip hop.
Sure.
But I would say this record is what pulled me into the slightly more alty side of music. Kind of counterculture-y stuff.
Right. Okay.
Stuff that had a bit, kind of slightly smarter stuff.
Mm-hmm. And this was the first single off the album as well. So this was the first bit you'd heard of their new material.
This was the first single. So my friend had this on 7-inch when it came out.
Right.
So we were ready for the album to come out when it came.
Gotcha. Okay. It was August '89 this came out, so it was 6 months before the album.
This song is, it's pretty much perfect in every way, shape, or form.
Yeah. At the time, did you read anything else into it apart from it being about being able to phone up someone and talk and confess to or whatever on the telephone?
What I found generally, actually, going back and listening to this album for this podcast,
yeah,
okay, this was a harder album for me to make notes on in some ways than the stuff that we've gone into fresh, because I've got such a relationship with it.
I see. Okay, you've got 30 or 20 years of
and because it's been kind of ubiquitous at the back of my mind, and I guess there's I think I'd really never delved that deeply into what personal Jesus meant.
Mm-hmm.
I've just got the kind of the top lines of sound bites, and I'm thinking Messiah complex.
Mm-hmm.
I've not really dug too deeply into it, because obviously on the face of the lyrics, if you take them at face value, it's a song potentially about like phoning up like a telephone based like evangelist or someone along those lines.
Kind of your Billy Graham types who offer a premium rate service to take your money while selling God to you.
Flesh and bone on the telephone.
Yeah.
And I'm still not 100% sure it needs to be anything more than that. It's quite a compelling image, but obviously I mean, what's your obviously if you can take it a whole other way, which is like again, friend, Messiah complex.
Well, and the thing I read about this was that Martin Gore got personal Jesus, that phrase, from a book written by Priscilla Presley about Elvis.
I read this as well,
and so it was about Priscilla saying that Elvis was her personal Jesus, and in as much as she had invested everything to this one human being man, and that was an unhealthy level of trust or responsibility to put into any one person. So it's an unbalanced relationship like that.
Sure.
So there's that side where Dave Gann can be, I'll be your personal Jesus. You don't have to do anything except worship me. I'm going to give very little back. Because I'm a god. And so it's that one-sidedness of that. That's one of the readings you could have.
So for me, I kind of almost don't want to read too much into the lyric. I want to accept it as just bombast.
Fair enough.
Whatever it means, it makes you feel something.
Oh, sure. I must admit, at the time, I didn't read anything into lyrics. I wasn't, and also, similar to discussions we've had before, I'm much less of a lyrics person than you are. I like a hook and a beat, and I'm happy with that. So he could be talking about anything as long as there's that big twangy riff and the pounding drums, and I'd be all right with it.
You just got. That bass line that runs through it. It's not that complicated. It's a pretty,
oh god no.
And I think Martin Gore is just such a good arranger of songs. Like the way things swell and peak, and that reverse reverb on that opening vocal. It's the size of that vocal as well. This is a career-defining song. 7 albums in. This is a career-defining song. Obviously, they've just done a massive stadium tour, but this is the whole weight of that experience in that vocal.
Yeah,
because and this song, so many. We talked last week about Sinead O'Connor, and so much of that is all about that vocal, and the music is secondary in a lot of a lot of cases. This is an example where everything is just as important as everything else. The arrangement is massive, the vocal performance, and then the kind of the post production, what they've done to it, it's a completely well conceived, put together piece of music, and I think the thing that separates this band from a lot of bands of their ilk, if you're talking about synth bands into industrial bands, is they really know when to stop.
Okay.
To the point where stuff is precisely produced, but rarely super overproduced.
Okay.
And I think that's I think they say art is never finished; it's just abandoned. But knowing when to abandon it is a skill in of itself.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Well, I suppose there's various accounts over the years of people who cannot leave an album alone and keep tinkering and tinkering. Brian Wilson, this sort of stuff. Billy Corgan. Smashing Pumpkins,
mate. Guns N' Roses. Did you ever hear the Chinese Arithmetic or whatever it was called?
No.
I mean, fuck me. That's a lot of record. That's like if you've ever decorated a house and you just go, they've never stripped any of this paint off, and you're just going through 20 years worth of paint. You put your finger up to the knuckle in a groove of different colours,
and none of it suits the one behind it.
No,
it's all
of course
just,
not.
oh no, let's try this instead then.
Yeah. I'll just put it all on top.
Stick this over at the top. Yeah. Right, sure. Well, no, I hadn't thought of that. That's a good, I like the point.
Okay, cool. So,
and also on this one, I read that this is the first Depeche Mode song to feature a guitar as the dominant instrument.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'd had guitars obviously in, trying to think, People Are People maybe, or Behind the Wheel, this sort of one, but they weren't they weren't doing the riff. Right. So this one was the first. The guitar was the lead instrument on this one, first time for them.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and it's the only one really on this album as well that has that kind of a sound to it. But Jesus Christ, it worked for them. It got them huge attention.
Of course, there's a lot more when you get into Songs of Faith and Devotion, the next record. There's a lot more guitar starts coming to the fray.
Yeah, I Feel You and that sort of stuff. That was Ultra, wasn't it?
No, I feel you done Songs of Faith. We're going to get to that. Is that going to be a number one, I wonder?
I do not know.
Oh, I hope it is. Anyway, right. For me, this is a near perfect pop song.
Brilliant single.
And it's one of those songs that kind of, there aren't many songs that are, this would have been being played in commercial clubs. This would have been played on Radio 4. It would be played in kind of alternative clubs and goth clubs. This would have been played in quite a lot of fairly incongruous.
It only got to number 13 on the charts as a single, so it wasn't a top 10 or anything. But it was the one that presumably made people go, "Oh, I didn't think I liked Depeche Mode anymore. I do now like Depeche Mode again."
And we just take a second just to say, fuck the Marilyn Manson cover of this song.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
It's so redundant. It's pointless.
That's the exact word. Yeah, because Johnny Cash's version is all right. It's fine. It doesn't change too much, but it's all right. He's got a nice take on it. Marilyn Manson is just doing it for commercial.
It's almost like he's a talentless hacker. That's been a good song since fucking Trent Reznor started writing for him. Anyway,
yeah.
So right, okay. So that's track 3.
Yes, track 3, Personal Jesus.
And now we're moving into track 4, which is Halo.
Halo, yeah, indeed. So let's see how this one begins.
That's quite an S01E sounding.
Bit heavy breathing.
Yeah.
And there's there's a Depeche Mode synth coming in there.
It's kind of squidgy. That's the synth sound that would inspire all kinds of Josh Wink records.
Yeah.
Like shackles on your feet, like a halo.
That's a great lyric,
Isn't it? Yeah.
It should look a halo.
Start off like that.
I can feel the discomfort
I like about this is you've gone straight from the kind of the big poppy bombast of Personal Jesus, and now we're into kind of this sparse kind of confessional territory. Okay?
Yep.
That lyric that we're saying we like is, bound by your feet, halo in reverse.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a song about he's looking at someone and going, you want to give into this, but you're too uptight. You're too uptight. You're not. So basically, I wrote here like David Garn as the voice of the snake in the Garden of Eden.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of what that is.
Right.
But instead of talking about it's like eat this apple, and she's like, that's not an apple. Jesus Christ, David, is that your dick? It's like, yeah, this is my dick. And what's that in your other hand? Oh, that's a syringe, right? What do you mean? It's like the classic, like the version, the dinner and a movie date with Dave Garn is skag and a shag. That's bit of brown going down. Yes.
Oh God.
Do you know what I mean?
God.
So
Right.
It's all fucking piles of leather trousers and fucking tourniquets. That's all it is. That's a night with Dave Garn.
At least you know what you're getting.
A morning full of regret.
Yes.
And an AIDS test.
Oh God.
But man, fucking big oppressive sense. This is industrial,
Yeah.
proto-industrial.
Yeah. And they're going back to some themes that they do love. You got religion, and you've got absolute filth.
This is stark bollock naked, tied to a cross in a leather-bound kind of dungeon. This is kind of 50 Shades of Grey, but more heroin.
Yeah.
50 Shades of Brown.
Nice.
50 Shades of Brown sounds like a different type of video, doesn't it?
But I suspect they'd sound
German in origin.
Well.
You want to come around my house and watch the Shizer film?
But the lyrics in this, I think, are brilliantly done. About no one's perfect. Don't feel guilty about your sexual peccadillos and the stuff you're into. Embrace it and just go for it, because everyone's got some fucking weirdness. You enjoy yourself, mate. Don't feel guilty.
Well, I tell you what this is, right? This reminds me of, and I cannot name this person because they'll stab me through the heart.
Go.
Okay.
Yeah.
But a friend of ours, who will remain nameless, right, never phones me up for advice.
Mm-hmm.
Never phones me up for advice. But he got in this situation where he'd been offered a threesome. He'd been offered a threesome with this girl that he'd been seeing, and he was going to come down to Brighton where we live, and it was going to happen. And the first time he's ever phoned me up for advice was to ask me whether he should do it. And the only reason he phoned me is because he knew out of everyone he knew that I'd say, go and fucking do it. Just go and do it, mate. Of course. Why wouldn't you, right? Because that's who I am.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll do that.
You're Dave Gannon. You're Martin Gore.
He just creased me. Still never phoned me up for
Nothing since.
No, nothing since, mate. I mean,
Maybe it went really badly.
yeah, I just presume that nothing else has happened since then. Shout out to my friend. No, I'm not going to name him. Great. Okay.
When I was listening to this as well, if we just do a little bit more of the tune, I'll sort of skip to the middle of it. Brilliant chorus. Terrific. Why were they never offered a Bond theme?
Oh my God, you're right.
Why did they never do that? They would have been so good.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, 1990s. This is no.
Well, that was GoldenEye, so that was what Tina Turner did that. No, Gladys Knight?
No, that's License to Kill.
License to Kill. Okay, well,
we would. I mean,
GoldenEye was
trying to
Tina
think.
Turner.
So when was Living Daylights? That was
88, 89? No.
It must be a bit earlier than that, because it's Aha that did the... Aha didn't still have a career then, did they?
Yeah, no, it was right at the end.
Okay.
Because you'd had View to a Kill,
Yeah.
which was, 86?
Yeah.
And then, so that's usually every 2 years. So 88, maybe 89, 88.
Which we can all agree is the best Bond theme,
No,
right?
that's very wrong, but okay. So yeah, Aha in 88, 89. 1990 would have been GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Which is... It's Tina Turner, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, why weren't they doing this?
Yeah, they should. They still should.
That would be brilliant.
And what they should do is they should go back in time and take the one away from Sam Smith.
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, that film was a piece of shit as well.
Oh, it was.
Do you know what? I don't know why I'm talking. I like Bond films of the 80s. I don't give a shit really anymore.
I want to like new ones because I think Casino Royale was such a game changer for the series that they had this massive opportunity just to be fucking brilliant again. And they had a couple in there which are good, but they've got a couple which is duff as shit.
I mean, I think Casino Royale's a bit boring.
Do you? I can watch that any fucking time. I think it's brilliant.
Anyway. Right, so, okay.
But yeah, no, it's, as I say, a shame they never did. Right, so so that's kind of the first half of the album we're looked at, and so far, frankly, so brilliant.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Let's take a quick break from that and have a look and see what is in the top 10 UK singles this week. And again, there's not too much change. There's a lot of stuff which is hungover from last week, just moving around within the top 10.
Sure.
Only a couple of newbies that we'll have a look at. Number 10, Michael Boltonheim was To Live Without You.
Brilliant. 9,
Jive Bunny, That Sounds Good to Me. Still fucking there. The first new entry, though, in at number 8 this week.
Love this song.
Good fun. I remember this coming out and me just thinking it was the best shit.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I love this record. Yeah, I've got a playlist of songs that just make me happy, and that's on it.
It's so good. So good, but like I said in the previous podcast, that was made me buy the album, made me buy Flood off the back of that single. One of the first albums I'd ever bought with my own money on vinyl. And I loved it at the time. Some of it doesn't hold up so well.
Yeah. I think we talked about this one briefly on the Phil Collins episode, didn't we?
Exactly. It's still a lot of good fun, but there's some bits you go, all right, maybe this is a bit wacky for the sake of wackiness.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in a comic shop around this time, and that album was on regular rotation there, along with the Conan the Barbarian soundtrack.
Of course it was, mate.
I added into the mix for the one day I was allowed to choose music, Death Certificate by Ice Cube, and I was told, well, that's a bit hardcore, and I was never allowed to pick the music again.
Well, you brought that upon yourself, my friend.
Well, I suppose I did.
Number 7 is New Kids on the Block, I'll Be Loving You Forever.
Yeah.
Number 6, Candy Doll for Dave Stewart, Lily Was Here. Number 5, last week's number 1, Beats International, That'd Be Good to Me. Number 4, Erasure Blue Savannah.
Great.
Number 3, Candy Flip, Strawberry Fields Forever.
Fucking shit.
Terrible. Number 2, B-52's Love Shack.
Yeah.
But straight in at number 1 this week, this is a big tune. I remember loving this when it came out.
Oh, my lord.
Yes, mate. I love this.
Is it the best use of the Rock the Bells?
It could well be.
Maniac, Brainiac, winning the game.
I'm the lyrical Jesse James. Yeah, so good, man. So
that's
good.
of course not true because we all know that's Cher.
Yeah, quite. She claimed that territory. So that's how the top 10 was. Number 1, brilliant. A lot of the other stuff were just, like I say, messing around. However, in the rest of the charts, like going right down in this week, there's some new entries, or some that this is where they peaked. Number 94 in the charts this week. New entry at number 94. Right. Rex and Effect, New Jack Swing.
Wow.
Yeah. March 1990, New Jack Swing.
The Rum Shaker. Go on, Teddy Riley.
Indeed. I had no clue about that at the time, must admit. No,
I kind of vaguely did, because like I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, I did have a bit of a New Jack Swing period.
Oh yeah, you loved it.
Yeah, I mean it was quite some of the cool kids at school were really into it, and I was into hip hop, and like Ralph Tresvant was in the I think Bobby Brown I really loved the most.
Sure. Yeah. Well, he had the biggest chart hits for sure.
Funnily enough, my other neighbour Ben, who our friend Ben, James's brother.
Yeah.
Again, he had the Bobby Brown record. And
I see.
It was like what you did, though, wasn't it? Back in the day, you had a little circle of people and they'd get the record, and you'd only have this small cohort of records between you, so you just get to know them all really well.
Absolutely, yeah. Right, moving further on up the charts, number 35. This one is Jungle Brothers. What You Waiting For?
Yeah.
And this is I wasn't big into Jungle Brothers. I loved De La Soul.
Yeah.
I knew the Tribe Called Quest album, and a friend of mine played me some of the Jungle Brothers stuff. I wasn't as into it.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been the same. It was always the lesser of the major tongues.
They were the
stuff
also
like
ratings,
that. But you know, in retrospect, I appreciate it probably more than I did at the time, though.
Oh yeah, it's not bad. That's the thing. It's not bad, but
if you're putting together a track list of classic hip hop albums, classic hip hop tracks, what Jungle Brothers tracks do you go with? That's. I mean, they've got great tracks and great, kind of great characters, but yeah, it's not
second tier. They're always a support. That's the sort of place I'd put them. Always supporting someone else better.
They're funk dubious to Far Side.
There you are. There you go. Number 17 in the charts. Bit of Orbital. Yeah.
Chime.
Yeah, indeed. And this is a great tune.
I've heard this song live so many times.
Yeah, I bet, actually.
And I can remember it maybe once. I know, I always remember this song. This song is just...
I was not into Orbital at the time.
Wow.
I knew this song because 15-year-old me, I had some older friends who took me out to raves in the Belfast Student Union, the One World raves, snuck me in sort of thing. And this was one of the fucking big ones of the time. And also, a friend of a friend was one of the DJs there, and he would give everyone mixtapes. He would put together playlists of what he was playing at these things, and Orbital was a big one, obviously.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's a great tune. I'm not a big Orbital fan. I don't think that they are... They're not my thing as much as they are a lot of other people's things, but that's a great song.
That's because ecstasy isn't your thing as much
Well,
as
there
it's
you
a lot
go.
of other
That's true.
people's things.
Yeah.
Or mine, mum.
But yeah, number 7, and again, that's a big. I think number 17 is a high chart position for what is essentially quite an underground song at the time.
I mean, it was such a big tune, though. And you remember, this is a time when. A lot of the Balearic stuff, the acid house stuff, you were getting breakaway kind of pop hits with some of those things.
Guru Josh.
I'm trying to think some other examples. We call it Acid.
God, D-Mob, yeah.
Featuring Gary Hasman.
True, they did have, and sort of LFO to an extent, they did have...
Crush.
They had a crossover, but I was surprised to see that got that high up.
Sure.
That many people bought that one single.
When was Alternate? That's around this time.
It was around that time, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Alternate being on top of the pops. And,
KLF.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I don't think I'm that surprised by it.
And the Orb, they had the hits with Perpetual Dawn and Little Fluffy Clouds.
Yeah.
But they, to me, were more pop crossover hits. They made sense that they were in the charts. This one, I was just surprised.
Do you know what the path of it was? Did it go in at this and then go out again?
No, it went in a lot lower, and it peaked at 17.
Oh, okay. Because obviously you have like what I always think of as the Iron Maiden effect as well, where there's just such a big fan base on something that something gets released and it just outsells the rest of the pop chart.
Right, sure.
But then, because Iron Maiden with their number ones, they were always in and out, weren't they? Because
yeah, definitely.
Everyone bought it day one, the fans, and then...
And then, they had it and didn't need to do anything else. Yeah, true enough. But no, great tune. Similarly, again, I remember it from being on those tapes, the rave tapes, but also this was a big indie crossover hit, peaking at number 16.
Just what is it that you want to do? Well, we want to be free.
This was one of the biggest songs you play in the indie clubs back in Belfast.
Yeah, and this was, I remember this being all over.
That's what we're going to do.
Radio.
Oh, huge! Yeah,
have a good time.
Yeah, it really was.
This was, this is still the territory when I would record songs off of the top 40 on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And this was definitely one that I had on my mixtapes.
Gotcha. I remember I went to see them for my 16th birthday in 1991 in Belfast with Andy Weatherall supporting as an opening DJ.
Wow.
Brilliant. It was fantastic.
You were so much cooler than I was.
Only because I had some friends who dragged me along to these things.
Sure.
Yeah. The only other one I've got in here is it peaked at number 14 in the charts this week.
Is it The Farm? No. Oh God, This Is What It Feels to Be Lonely.
Yeah, in Spiral Carpets.
Spiral Carpets.
Yeah. Indeed. And I remember loving this at the time as well. I remember being a big fan of this tune. I was just getting into indie, and this was an easy one to get into.
See, I don't think I liked this,
Yeah,
but I know it so well.
yeah. You'll have heard this in clubs
Yeah.
for years and years and years.
See, this is an interesting thing. Okay, I might have said this to you before, but I've certainly not said it on the podcast before. Now we are where we are in our 40s.
Yep.
Right, early 40s.
Yeah, thanks.
But it's so strange, isn't it, that the music you didn't like from when you were younger, you know better than the new music that you do like
That's
now.
very true, yeah.
And it's so weird, isn't it? Because it's like, you know, I mean, if I went, okay, what's my... If I tried to name what my favourite album of this year was, and I could, I haven't thought about it, but I could.
Yeah,
You know, I still
you've got a
listen.
favourite album.
But I tell you, I don't know any of the songs on it as well as I know that song by the Inspiral Carpets.
You
which
bet you
I've-
could sing along every lyric.
yeah, which I've never owned, never had, but I've heard it so many times.
Yeah.
And, you know, because you're in environments around music and you live in music a lot more,
Yeah,
you know, when you're younger, because that's just the way you're moving.
that's so true. But that's all I have for top 10 really this week. A lot of this the top 10 or singles. That's all I have for singles this week. The top 10 was very similar to last week's. We've
Yep.
done it, and those were the big ones that were in the charts. So again, it's interesting to see. I think that stuff like Primal Scream, Inspiral Carpets, Orbital are getting top 20 hits at this point. It seems
Yeah.
that there is an influx of this kind of alternative is such a weird word to say about those ones, but at the time it was.
No, well, absolutely they are. But, you know, when you listen and you hear that number one albums are the Christians and Phil Collins, there has to be a reaction to that.
Sure.
You know, there has to be, you know, like, you know, when you're sitting hearing stuff that's like making you angry, like you heard how we reacted to those records,
Yeah.
okay? Other people are sitting there reacting to those records and going, oh, look, well, let me do something about it.
Indeed. There's 18-year-olds up and down the country forming bands going, let's never be Phil Collins.
I mean, who knows? Maybe at the end of this podcast, we will be the new Pet Shop Boys.
One can only dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, back into Violator.
Yes, back in the Violator.
Okay.
So, what are we, track 5?
Yes, we are. Yeah, track 5, Waiting for the Night.
Oh, the misnamed track.
Yes, indeed, yeah. One of those little factoids I read as well. Let's see how this one begins.
Plinky, plinky. Okay, so far so sparse.
Yeah, very much. It's almost like incidental music in a film scene or something like that.
Yeah, very much so. Like kind of. Well, I'll tell you what I'm thinking of actually. Is it Risky Business that's got that Tangerine Dream soundtrack?
Oh,
Is it Tangerine Dream?
no, Paris, Texas. Oh no, that's Rycooter.
I think yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Okay.
Yeah, Risky Business, Tangerine Dream.
All right. Okay.
Thank
nice.
you, Google,
Lovely.
motherfuckers. Yeah, it reminds me of that. You know, Love on a Real Train. I think is the. He says having submitted. Just Google. No, I've got Love on a Real Train on a compilation actually. So, yeah. No,
Okay.
it kind of reminds me of that. So this is probably the prettiest song on the record.
It's very delicate, very fragile.
Yeah, I mean it's as with everything, it's kind of like kind of minor.
Yeah.
Everything's in those kind of sad minor keys.
Yes.
And it's an incredibly melancholy song.
Yep.
Yeah, if some of these songs are the kind of the bombast and the party, this is the kind of the come down, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah. This is much more introspective and showing your own fears and.
So do we think He's Waiting for the Night to Fall is a metaphor for waiting for it to be time to take the drugs?
I definitely think there are allusions to be made. I wondered if it was after you've injected, you're waiting for it to kick in. That sort of thing. Okay, I've done this or taken something maybe. and you're waiting for the darkness to fall,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's very much I need things to be bearable, isn't it? It's, the work. It's a million miles away from a lot of the other statements on this record, which are very much these statements of the benefits of this bacchanalian lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like here are the benefits of excess, but actually, this is the first time when you hear him going, actually, maybe the reason I'm doing this stuff is because
There's
I'm
something.
kind of too sensitive for this stuff.
Maybe.
Let's face it, most people that I've known that have been massive caners will always dress it up as doing it for the sheer lols, but normally behind it there's something.
Yeah.
It's self-medicating on some level.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
It could be that then. It could be. I had it pinned possibly more as like you say, the previous songs and previous themes having been about being in control and being the one controlling, and this was wanting to not relinquish control to someone else, but just not have to be the one in control, and so hiding away from the real world, hiding away from everybody else, drawing into yourself. And not having to deal with other stuff.
But the interesting thing is, it's like, if you're living your life as a kind of a rock star in this in the world of the 90s, where you could realistically put yourself in this state of kind of arrested development, be a kind of what's the word I'm looking for, caricature of yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
What are you actually, what's the realities that you're dealing with? I think, he's not talking about, I don't want to deal with all the bills and all of the admin. He's not talking about it. I think, whatever he's talking about, it's got an emotional weight to it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But, for me, I think, I'm pretty sure it's, I'm just waiting for the time when I can get fucked up. Yeah. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and there's another religious reference in there where he's talking about waiting for the angel to come down and visit him. So again, I wasn't sure if that's just for religious reference fun, if Martin Gore's just putting all this stuff in, again, Catholic guilt or whatever, or if he's saying the angel is the drugs and waiting for that to come to him.
Sure. So one of the more kind of somber, self-effacing. So I mean, somber is a good track. I like it. It fits well on the album.
Yeah, and I really like the chorus of it. I think that the backing track, because it is so, like you say, sparse and there's not so much going on, but the vocals that he puts on it, I think, work so well, and there's a really beautiful chorus in there. Yeah,
and I think that pulse and build at the start, in context, coming out of the back of Halo. I mean, that's the thing about this record. We talk about these tracks in isolation a lot on this podcast, but actually the way this whole record hangs together, the way it moves, segues from one track to the other. There's not a lot of fade outs on this record. Everything has been, either it's the greatest coincidence that everything fits together like this, or someone's given it a lot of thought.
Yeah, and then this one, like you said, coming out of Halo, but then it's going into the next song.
Yeah.
And it's perfect for that, the build up to that. Yeah, so
let's...
track number 6.
Yeah.
This was the second single, January 1990 this came out.
This was the top 10 single in the UK, wasn't it? This did really well. Was it like top 3?
I'm not sure, actually.
I mean, I remember this song being massive. I remember the video being everywhere.
Yeah.
And not the chart, all over the chart shows and stuff like that. I don't think I appreciated it for what it was.
Not at all. I remember it happening,
and
I remember liking it,
but
I did not throw myself behind it in the way I should have done, because this is stunning.
Oh, mate, it's amazing.
Yeah. Maybe it's because this is so different to Personal Jesus, and I was really into Personal Jesus, that when this came out, I thought, oh, this is good, but it's not Personal Jesus. Maybe that was one of the things, I'm not sure. I wanted it to be more of that, and it wasn't.
This is a different flavour, obviously. Yeah. Again, a pretty much perfect pop single. You just got that really, really simple that runs all the way through it.
I remember I was reading that apparently Martin Gore brought this into the studio as much more of almost an a cappella kind of thing, just with a very basic beat behind it, and it was the rest of the band and the producers who went, this could be fleshed out into something amazing, because the tune is so good.
Alan Fletcher
was it Alan Fletcher? Right.
Alan Fletcher and the producer, who's it, Flood.
Flood, yeah. Right, so they said, no, we need to build this up a bit more. It can be even better than it is, and then they said, and that little guitar bit, if you had something else,
it was the beat. That was the first piece. It was like, because it was originally designed as a kind of a slow kind of atmospheric song. They're like, no, let's put a kind of basically a dance beat on it, which is obviously incongruous with it, because obviously that makes the rest of it run at kind of like half a quarter of the time.
Sure.
But it totally changes the feel of the song.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think it was probably a similar article that I read.
Yeah,
and it was saying that once they got it down and recorded it really, really quickly, and then afterwards they tried to tinker with it loads in post and kept adding bits to it, but everything they added in were like, actually, no, we don't need this.
Yeah.
And that's why, because I mean, one of the most simple Depeche Mode songs, sonically.
Sure, yeah.
But the lyrics, for me, that enjoy the silence, they conjure this kind of feeling of you've got this kind of sensual moment. Dave's with a partner of some something, and they start to say something, and he's like, no, look, just shut the fuck up, you're ruining this. Right? So for me, what this is like this is like a goth version of You Say It Best When You Say Nothing At All. It's just a shut the fuck up, right? I'm experiencing things.
What do you think? It's like he's trying to put it in the arse.
Fucking hell!
And this person's going, oh, what? We didn't discuss this. He's going, shh. It's okay.
And what
it's all right.
You realise what you're describing there is a rape.
Well, yeah, okay. Maybe he's not doing that.
Let's for legal reasons say he's definitely not doing that.
Okay, true enough.
So yeah, no, he's a.
But no, I'm being facetious. What I'm getting, if you go down that route of lyrical understanding, is that it's about a moment being so perfect that whatever you try and say or add to it is unnecessary.
Also, kind of give me that moment of like where you've had an argument.
Oh yeah,
right?
All right.
And you're in that moment of reconciliation, but you realise that moment of reconciliation is probably actually false, and you're at the end of something.
Oh yeah, okay.
I don't know why, but it gave me that kind of, because
I
kind of gave that vibe. It's that don't say anything, enjoy this silence, because after this it's over.
Ah, right.
I mean, I'm
okay.
I'm kind of saying that apropos of nothing, but it's just music.
It sparked that.
Lyrics give you
Yeah.
And that's, so it is what it is. But
or it's about drugs.
Oh, it's about drugs again. Yeah.
All I ever wanted is here in my arms.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
I never thought of it in that way.
Yeah, I thought it could. There's that second tier. Maybe he's talking about heroin again.
Yeah, I mean, he very much could be.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect that's deliberate. I suspect that they've deliberately phrased it so that you can look at it both ways. But it's, and again, if you're putting that into a pop song and getting that played on Radio 1, that's nice and subversive.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, absolutely.
Which is exactly what they've been doing for years.
Right up there with Ebenezer Good.
Yeah. Yes, just as subtle.
Just as subtle, yeah, absolutely. Right, okay, so...
fantastic song.
Next we have, I don't even need to dwell on this particularly, there's a pause at the end of this song.
Right, yep.
And then we have, I don't even need to play it.
No, there's not a hidden track, but there's a...
No, it is described as a hidden track.
Is it?
It's called, I mean, I don't think it's ever officially been named, but I think it's known as Crucified, or sometimes Interlude Number 2.
Right, okay.
Because Interlude Number 1 is on Music for the Masses, I think.
Right, okay.
And then
this is another one.
This is Interlude 2. And basically what it is it's a stretched out Martin Gore vocal. I think it's Martin Gore, and I think he's just saying Crucified, and they've stretched it and fucked around with it. And it's a space filler between two songs.
Fucking art, mate. That's fucking art.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I imagine the process would have been Martin Gore going, I want to do this. The rest of the band going, this is probably not a good idea, but tell you what, he's written the entire album, so we have to let him do what he wants.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think at this stage in Depeche Mode they're I think the dynamic of it is we do what Martin Gore says.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I think that's what that is, and that's probably part of their longevity and success is just having a clear.
It's a dictatorship,
group.
but it works.
Yeah,
he's got a vision, and it goes from that. I wonder as well, because obviously he did write these songs. It occurred to me in the video for Halo, there is a bit. It's an Anton Corbijn directed video. Martin Gore is dressed up as a clown and he's juggling.
Right.
And Dave Gann is strutting about bare-chested in a leather jacket. And guess who gets the girl? Martin fucking Gore as a clown. So yeah, I wonder if he's just gone, nah, mate, I'm the real powerhouse in this. I can do what I want.
Quite possibly, mate. Quite possibly.
So after the interlude, we go into Policy of Truth. And this was the third single. This was May 1990. This came out.
Another one of these tracks. You've got a great, simple opening lick.
Yeah.
Loops it around, and the rest of the stuff builds behind it.
Yep.
Again, this was single number 3.
Single number 3, yeah. It works as a single because it's a tune that is obviously going to get played on radio. It's catchy enough for that. Mm-hmm. But the chorus is a bit that brings it in for me. I think that the opening and the verses are very good, but the chorus I think is a step above.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is one of the songs straight away when I heard, so it just grabbed me.
Yeah.
Because it's never again
is what you swore. Exactly. Yeah. No, it's great. That's a big sing along.
Yeah, it's a huge one, huge chorus. I mean, lyrically,
mm-hmm.
it's kind of seems to be about someone with a bit of a big mouth gets themselves into trouble, tells it how it is.
Oh God. Oh, those people that you work with in the office.
There's one of our friends that does this, particularly online.
Oh, right, yeah.
Love him.
Yeah.
Love him, but does it. And then gets themselves into trouble. It's like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing this again. No, I'm not getting involved. And then next time, bang. Straight in. Never again is what you swore the time before.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't take it from quite so much of that. I took it as someone who cheated. I took it as someone in a relationship who cheated
and admitted it.
And Dave Gann is questioning whether that's the right thing to do. Have you done that for your own purposes to clear your conscience, knowing that it's going to wreck the relationship, or do you keep it to yourself and just try and make everything smoothed over? Mm-hmm. That's what I took from it. Do you be honest and risk ruining everything?
Yeah.
Or do you just maintain the status quo and bury it?
Yeah, you got your policy of truth.
Yeah. So that's what I was taking from the input.
Again, some words, policy of truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great way of wording that,
isn't it? Yeah, true.
And again, for years I've never really thought too much on what that meant, but policy of truth, and the way policy of truth. It's so good.
Yeah, man. I did think there's one bit about 3 minutes in where there's some horn stabs that I thought were a bit out of place. So let me see if I can find this.
A bit out of place in the 90s. Oh no, see, that just sounds really Duran Duran to me.
Dude, it sounds like Yellow to me.
No, I mean, I know what you mean. That sounds like that Yellow, but like
down.
But no, like think the Reflex.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
No, I thought
which is one of the cheesier Duran Duran.
Oh,
let's face
it. That's brilliant. You leave the Reflex alone. You've gone too far this time.
No, I overstepped.
No, that's the lyrics. But I'm dancing on the Danish line. But all right.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a fantastic song. I'm not taking anything away. I just thought that was a strange kind of bizarre sign to chuck in there at the end.
Well, I think you're wrong.
Fair enough. I'll take it. Right, we're close to the end. We're on track 8 of 9 next. Which is Blue Dress.
Yeah, God, right.
Well, now.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, the whole album is filth.
Yeah.
But fuck's sake.
This is... I mean, that's quite a housey sample almost.
Sure,
it?
Yeah.
But everything about this is slightly off kilter.
That's a very good phrase for it. Yeah. Yeah.
This is kind of like a, I don't know, like kind of Tim Burton-y in a way.
Right.
Like, no, that's a bad example.
It almost sounds like that sirens calling to you.
Yes, that's a better example.
Yeah, beckoning.
Psycho kind of section. But this, I mean, this is the song that the band describe as the pervy one on this record.
Out of an album of pervy songs,
Yeah.
this is the one.
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, an album of pervy songs from a band who's got a song called Master and Servant. So, I mean,
true.
I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised, I suppose, right?
No, you're absolutely right.
But so, I mean, this is just an incredibly, it's creepy.
It is. Well, listening to it, you do feel like maybe I shouldn't be hearing these thoughts that these people are having.
Yeah, it's like a kind of voyeuristic thing.
Yeah.
Right? So he's like going, put on the dress that I like. Because watching you do the, you know, it's like you do this thing just for my gratification.
Yeah, you'll find how easy it is to please me.
Yeah.
By putting on these clothes.
Right, and I'll be honest with you, the question that came into my mind that I didn't want to know the answer to is, how old is this person?
Oh, God. Right.
That was in my mind. I was like, that fucking dress had better not be a uniform. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yes, I do know, but fucking hell, okay, I'd not thought of that.
It's just something about the dynamic of that conversation.
Right.
It feels like, I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just the environment we're in now. It feels like someone possibly abusing their power.
Right, okay, taking advantage.
Well, who knows, man? I mean, who knows? I mean, you know, obviously the whole master and servant, the whole S&M dynamic is very much based around consent. Okay?
Oh, yes, yeah.
And it's based around two people being into the same thing. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, hey, mate, you be as filthy as you want to in your little room.
So at the heart of it, it's about the idea that either female beauty or male sexual attraction or some combination of the two is what makes the world go round.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously on some level that is.
Yeah, it's
a
way of looking at
creative
it.
drive is the thing that kind of propels all of us
Sure.
in some way, shape or form.
Yeah.
And probably a lot more if you're in Depeche Mode.
Good Lord.
You know, it's a kind of proper, when you like delve into this song, it's kind of proper creepy.
It is. Imagine as well if you were listening to this album with a loved one, with your significant other, and not necessarily getting jiggy while the album is on, but if it's just on.
Hang on, let's unpack that for a second. Did you just say getting jiggy?
That's the phrase that the kids use these days, isn't it?
What, in 1991?
Sure.
Mate, we're back in the millennium.
True.
Fuck me, Bristol.
But yeah, if you're listening to this with your partner, your lover, and it gets to this song,
I can't take you saying your lover seriously.
Hey, fucking Mr. Loverman over here.
God, it's Shamarang is what you got for me.
Yeah, when it gets to that song, because the rest of the album, it's filth, but it's good feeling dirty filth.
Yeah.
This is a little bit. Oh, I don't know if I want to look over here. There's something happening in that room, and I shouldn't look, so I'm not going to.
Oh,
It is that sort of thing. When it gets to that, is there surely? Shall we just skip this one?
Do you know the thing is, I kind of understand. I can define this experience for you completely.
Okay.
Right? Completely, because I've had that experience. Okay. My mum and dad, bless them, they have people on the TV that they like and stuff, but they're not like the kind of people that are like, you know, they don't read the art section of The Guardian or whatever. So, you know, kind of they would pick films according to who was in them and things along those lines.
Right.
So I had an experience when I would have been about 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah.
My mum and dad, they really liked Julie Walters.
Okay, yeah.
You know, Julie Walters, she was in all the, you know, the kind of the
Victoria
Victoria
Wood
Wood
stuff,
and all of that. But she did a film called Personal Services.
Oh, this rings a bell. Okay.
Yeah, so it's about Cynthia Payne, the madam.
Yeah.
And so it is an incredibly sexual film. Right? I mean, as I remember it, and we sat and watched that together as a family.
Oh God.
And
no.
I was not in a comfortable way.
Oh,
for
that's
that.
awful.
So that's I understand. I mean, like obviously we're talking about lovers, but if we're talking about discomfort and not Jesus,
Yeah,
Christ,
when it
that's
gets to a certain point, you go, shall we just turn this off?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I think I learned what a blowjob was from that film. No one wants to learn what a blowjob is when their mum's in the room.
Especially if she's going, no, that's not how you do it.
Oh, fuck off! The good thing you've got going for you, right, is that my mum's 75 and she will have no idea how to get a podcast.
No, true.
Because otherwise, you know her.
Yeah, I would have to look her in the face again.
Well, I'm going to fucking send this to her.
Let's move on from this. This is a terrible discussion we've stumbled into. The last song on the album, Clean. Please be clean.
I know you've missed interlude number 3.
Oh, should I have? Okay.
Don't worry, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a synthy interlude. It's quite nice. Let's move on.
Okay, right. So the last song proper on the album is Clean. Here we are.
Yeah. We're in John Carpenter territory almost.
Oh, that is it. But I'm sure you've probably read the same sort of stuff. This was inspired by a Pink Floyd song.
Yes.
And I went back and listened to that. Because I couldn't think of it in my head, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this really is."
Yeah, I mean, it's inspired.
It's ripped them off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the most dark and brooding song on a fairly dark and brooding album.
Okay.
In the same way that Blue Dress is the perviest record on a pervy album. Lyrically, Clean, the cleanest I've been. I mean, I don't know whether that alludes to a very brief period, because he certainly wasn't.
No, absolutely.
You may have been for a few days, but he certainly...
What when he woke up once?
The cleanest I've been.
Yeah.
I've just brushed my teeth. Right,
But then I also wonder, because of this, and there was something else earlier on, that Martin Gore is making him sing these songs, these lyrics. I wonder if he's trying to make a point.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Does Martin Gore write all the lyrics? I'm not clear whether that's the case or not.
Okay, actually, I'm not sure. Maybe not. But if Gan is doing this off his own back, then it's an interesting route to be taking, singing about it.
But yeah, again, what's your take on this one? You like it?
I do. I really like it. I think my favourite bit of it is that, despite the positive message of each bit, the cleanest I've been, etc., at the end of each verse, he just goes, sometimes. And it's like undercuts everything he's just said.
Yes,
he's like, let's see if I can play the first bit of it here.
I don't claim to know where my holiness goes. I just know that I like what is starting to
I like what's starting to come through now. I'm getting clean sometimes. Yeah, there's that, but I don't really. I really like that bit of it.
I really like the kind of unrepentantness of a lot of it. Mm-hmm. Even in the face of penitence, he's unrepentant.
Yeah.
Yeah. We live at the moment in some pretty self-effacing times where we're all very keen to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And there is something to be said for just doing the wrong fucking thing and being a scumbag every day.
Well, it's very, very entertaining watching other people do it and listening to their just tales about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've watched you do it a few times.
Good man.
Yeah, and we've all anyway.
We all came out a bit worse off.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I mean, I've been a very clean living individual my whole life.
Of course.
Of
course, Dave and Dave's mum, if she listens to this, yes.
She won't be listening to it. Mate, you don't apologise for that. Let's take you back to the blowjob. So yeah, I think this is a really good way to end the record.
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. It's a good ender.
It's the right feel. I don't think I've got too much else to say about that song.
No, I think it's a terrific song. I think there's a sly wink towards the message of, I'm getting off these bad things, I'm getting out of that lifestyle, I'm doing what's right, and I like the new person I've become sometimes. I love that. I think it's a very clever song.
I mean, I saw Depeche Mode last year. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to work out how many of the songs off that record they played.
Oh, that's a good wonder.
They actually only played 2 last time I saw them.
I'm going to assume Personal Jesus enjoyed the silence.
3. It was definitely 3.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, and World in My Eyes then.
Yeah, and
Was it those three?
Eyes.
Right.
Yeah. No, I would have really, really, really liked to have heard Policy of Truth.
Yeah.
Personally,
Yeah.
live, but did not. But they did play my favourite Depeche Mode song, so
Which is?
It's No Good.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay. Which is on Ultra.
Yeah. But then, you say that because obviously I know you're a huge fan. Love this album. Imagine seeing them on this tour. Imagine how amazing that would have been.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, well, do you know what? I would have liked it a great deal, but I really like all the stuff in varying degrees. The stuff that came before this, right?
Yep.
But apart from Music for the Masses, I'm not a whole album on Depeche Mode up until this point. Really.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm digging into the singles because much in the way that kind of a lot of old electro and hip hop is, the sign of what would.
Yeah,
it's why when I go back to to kind of old school hip hop now, I'm not going back to 86, 87. I'm going back to 90. Every now and then I'm going 90 to 93.
Fair enough.
That's kind of where I'm going.
Yeah.
And similar to this. So for me, the ideal time to have seen Depeche Mode properly would have been Songs of Faith and Devotion.
Oh, okay.
Because that album is so mad. In fact, the ideal time would have been on Ultra. I just wish I'd seen them a lot more than I have in my life.
No, that's fair enough.
Because when I saw them last year, it was. We've both been to hundreds of gigs in our life, and that was straight away top 10 gig for me.
Instantly,
yeah. Anyway,
that's
right.
Fantastic. Well, so, there you go.
Let's wrap this album out. As a whole, what do we think to it?
Oh, it's stunning.
Yes.
Yeah. It's. I mean, the bits that are good are 10 out of 10. The lowest it goes is maybe 5 or 6 out of 10 for me, and it doesn't do that hardly ever.
I mean, I wouldn't go as low as a 5 or a 6 out of 10 on any of these songs.
Yeah.
What are the low points for you?
Low points. I mean, again, low point is the wrong thing to say. I think Blue Dress has a place in what it does. I don't think it's a good song.
I know what you're saying. I mean, you're not going to listen to it in isolation.
Sure.
As the way that album kind of goes down and ends, I think it's perfect. I think I think that when you go as big as these things as singles, you've got to come down a little bit. If you want to go on, I'm a big believer on the journey of a record.
Yeah.
Okay, and it needs to take you through a load of different emotions. And I think if you go Enjoy the Silence, Policy of Truth.
Yeah.
You need
then Blue Dress.
Yeah. Then you go Blue Dress and then
Clean.
And you're kind of changing the vibe. You're slowing it down. And
yeah.
This is a record that I would go. I want to listen to this album today.
Yeah.
And I'll put that record on and I'll listen to it start to finish. And then after I finish with that record, I might go. And now I want to listen to this other Depeche Mode record. And there's not many bands that do that for me. Like normally I'll be like, I'm in the mood for this.
Dancing.
But but like with Depeche Mode, it's like, okay, I've listened to that, now I want to listen to them do something else, because each one of these things is this. Obviously, they've always got an essence of what they are.
Oh, it's always that's Depeche Mode. You hear anything and you go, that's Depeche Mode.
Yeah, but there's so much in all of them. Particularly, if you're listening to this and you like Depeche Mode on some level, or you haven't heard these records for long, all I can advise you to do is get yourself a really high quality set of headphones and just sit and listen to the amount of stuff that sits in the mixes of these records, because the devil's in the detail with these records. Definitely.
Well, I imagine that's absolutely deliberate on their part. They put so many things in because they are perfectionists.
Well, absolutely, and that's I think Martin Gore is just he's a craftsman. Anyway, so yeah, that's that. So
look, a classic. I'm glad we did that. We said we weren't going to do the compilation, so we didn't do David Bowie in depth. This was a gem to have in a number 2 as an excuse to talk about this.
Exactly
Brilliant.
that. And I think maybe as we go along, as some of these records come out, maybe we'll do some specials here and there.
Absolutely, little bonus podcasts.
Yeah, stick them behind a paywall or something.
Oh yeah, make some money off this. Be millionaires, mate.
As if, mate. Right, okay, so thank you very much for listening to episode 4. Sorry if this wasn't quite as kind of funny or as piss-taking as some of the other ones are. Unfortunately, when we really like something, it's hard to be a prick about it.
It's true, yeah.
So, what we got next week, Krista?
Next week, we have The Carpenters, the best of the Richard and Karen Carpenter thing.
Okay, so again, we won't be doing an in-depth on that.
Yeah.
So we'll have to work out what we are doing, but we'll leave that as a surprise for you, I guess.
Yes, indeed. Tune in next time.
Once again, thank you for listening to Pop Collaborator Listen, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.